Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Hope your weekend is starting off well. It is, we're into September. If you can believe September the 2nd, 2023. We are in the WCCO studio here for the Minnesota Real Estate Show, Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. 11 a.m. to 12. And the show is hosted by Mike Overson of Luminate Home Loans, Scott Wohlmering in studio, myself, Ryan O'Neill with the Minnesota Real Estate Team. RE/MAX Advantage Plus, got a great show today. We were at the State Fair last weekend, back in studio this week. Of course, your questions, comments, thoughts, 612-294-6949. Scott, good to see you, bud. Good morning to you.
Yeah, good to be here. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Like Ryan said, this is the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We do this every Saturday at 11 o'clock. In a couple of weeks, we're going to be at 10 a.m.
Yeah,
which will be cool. We'll be following another local show, which will be kind of nice. Love your questions throughout the show, 612-294-6949. You can call us there. You can text us there. Or if you're following us on any of the social media platforms, you can just type your questions in. The topic today that we're going to cover are seller myths. So what are some myths that sellers think either help sell their home, give them an advantage, etc. So we're going to cover that today. Seller myths.
Yeah, great stuff as always. Good morning. I got some comments coming in wherever you might be catching us: LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Thank you for joining us. And again, we were out at the fair last weekend. Scott, I know you were off last weekend, but the fair's busy, man. It's a busy time. We had fun out there, but oh my gosh, just a ton of people.
Well, yeah, I got there last weekend at 10:30, which is about a half hour before. Paid $50 for parking. Went to the front gate, and the gate, if those that are familiar with the fair, it was all the way to the street, every line, and all the way down the sidewalk. It was taking me an hour and a half to get through that line. So I called Ryan and said, I don't think I'm going to make it in there.
Yeah, it was fun. Thanks for people that stopped out as well and said hello. As Scott mentioned, right now our show is every Saturday, 11 a.m. to noon. We're moving to 10 o'clock just in a couple weeks. That will be kind of our permanent location here moving forward. Scott, that's sad news about Mr. Jimmy Buffett.
Yes, Jimmy Buffett.
Jimmy Buffett passing. That was all over social media here this morning.
Yeah, Jimmy Buffett. So when I work out at the gym, I've got my kids make fun of me all the time because I've got certain Pandora things I follow. So I've got Helen Reddy from the 1970s.
Yeah.
Jimmy Buffett radio, and Avril Lavigne.
Okay.
Not things that you would think I would normally list. Jimmy Buffett's one of them.
Yeah, Jimmy Buffett is one of them. Hey, we're getting ready to go again. We're on News Talk 830 WCCO. Excited to be here and appreciate you joining. Hope your weekend's going well. Good morning. Welcome to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thanks for joining us, everybody. I hope your September is starting off well. It is September the 2nd. Hard to believe we are already into September, and this is the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We are a local real estate show right here in the Twin Cities. Show is hosted by friends Mr. Overson of Luminate Home Loans and Luminate Bank, right here in the Twin Cities. And then, of course, Scott Wohlmering and myself, Ryan O'Neill, of the Minnesota Real Estate Team and RE/MAX Advantage Plus. We are super excited to be on WCCO, News Talk 830. WCCO have done the Minnesota Real Estate Show in our market here for over 15 years. And Scott, good morning to you there, bud.
Yeah, good to be here. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. If this is the first time you've got us, like Ryan said, this is the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We are live and local every Saturday for an hour. And we love your comments. 612-294-6949. You can text us at that number at any time. You can also call and go live on air if you have any questions. Or we always ask, also, if you're listening to the show every week and you have any topics, like when you're listening and you think, I wish these guys would cover this, or I wish they would talk about this, don't be shy. Text us that. We'll make sure we either handle it on that show or we talk about it on the next show.
Yeah, and again, we are live in studio here at WCCO, so you can use the normal CCO talk and text line, of course, or again, our number 612-294-6949, where you can call us directly or text us directly. The first segment here of the show, the Minnesota Real Estate Show, we always do like to do a market update. And Scott, let's take a look first from a real estate standpoint in the Twin Cities. And these are comparing year over year numbers. So when you look at new listings on the market, they were down 3% year over year. There were 1,324 new homes that went on the market. Pending sales or accepted purchase agreements down about 15%. There were close to 1,966 pending sales. And then inventory is also down 14% year over year. There's 8,117 properties in the Twin Cities metro. And then lastly, the median sales price. It did increase slightly up to 375,250, and that's year over year numbers for that median sales price. However, Scott, days on market is increasing almost 32%. It's still only 29 right now. So historically, from time, not bad. We're agents, brokers, buyers, sellers, everybody's starting to feel it, Scott.
No, they are. It's it's interesting. Ryan and I were texting last night, and I said, the marketing's slowing when you get X, and then I got this text message. Hi, this is so and so realtor with so and so brokerage. I won't say it. I have clients with the criteria matching one of your listing or one of my listings at ABC Street. Here's the MLS number. It's gorgeous. Price. Please show it. My sellers are motivated.
Yeah.
3 months ago, never would have gotten that email. Now we're starting to get it. Longer time on market. We've talked about it on the shows previously. Sellers that have just gotten kind of used to seeing their neighbor's house sell in 45 seconds for 20 grand over. And so everybody creep a little bit on their sale price, and the market's pushing back. I mean, it's I just put a home on the market. It's on, so I won't give the exact number for $350,000. A year and a half ago, I would have had 35 showings on it. A year ago, I would have had 12 showings on it. And now I've had 2 showings on it. It's been on for 3 days.
Yeah. And so it is, what does that mean for you as a buyer or seller in the market? Again, we're still at a historically low inventory, very, very low, with 8,000 homes for sale in the Twin Cities. And interestingly enough, again, the buyers that are out there are serious. They are closing. And in some cases, it's more rare. We are seeing some multiple offer situations on various listings in various price points. Just a simple rule of thumb, again, is the more expensive 1, 2, 3 it is, right, Scott?
That's right.
1, 2, 3.
That's how we sell our houses. 1, 2, 3. Gone.
1, 2, 3. So it's hard sometimes as a seller. And today's topic, what we're going to do each week with the Minnesota Real Estate Show, is we want to kind of go deep on a certain topic. And today's topic is all about seller myths. In other words, for sellers of properties, what are some myths that are believed, but for those of us in the industry maybe have experienced aren't always true, Scott?
Well, and that's a sweet way of saying it. What is it that sellers believe is true that helps sell their home or that works, and we know does not? I mean,
sure.
That's the harsh myth. Is we hear it all the time, and and you're always polite when you're at a cocktail party and you hear somebody in the neighborhood say a certain thing, and as an agent you go, well, that's not correct, but you don't say anything at that point. So we're going to talk about what those are.
Yeah, we're gonna dive into some of those myths from a mortgage standpoint. Again, obviously, mortgage rates, as the entire world knows, have risen pretty significantly since COVID, since the end of the drawdown of COVID, in the 7s, high 6s, low 7s, and obviously that's impacted affordability all across the board. From a rental standpoint, rents have risen significantly all over the state of Minnesota and western Wisconsin. However, there's a little bit of a pullback with rents too.
Yep.
Scott, there's a lot of new buildings going up all over the metro, increasing supply a little bit, making things a little bit more competitive. They're offering different incentives for people. And again, renters are not dumb. At some point, they will not apply. They will not move forward.
That's right. Well, and we talk about it on the show, and we have for years and years and years and years. Real estate market, whether it's the rental market or whether it's the regular residential real estate market, is based on supply and demand. And you can see the commercial guys that are building apartment complexes. They saw blood in the water, so they're building them everywhere. Well, that's been going on now for 5, 6, 7 years, and you can see them. They're everywhere, and you're thinking, my gosh, how in the world can they fill that building up? And it's full. But now 5, 6 years of building it like this, now they're kind of getting to the point where, hey, maybe we can't get $2,500 for a small 2-bedroom. Maybe we have to get $2,350 or whatever the number is. So there has been a setback.
Yeah, there is a little bit of a pullback indeed. We're already up against our first break here at the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Throughout the week, again, you can always call us at 612-294-6949. We are a local real estate team here in Minnesota called the Minnesota Real Estate Team. We've got top agents really all over the state of Minnesota, Western Wisconsin. We help people buy homes, sell homes, invest in real estate. This is WCCO. Thanks for joining us on social media. Good morning to so many folks. Appreciate it wherever you're catching us. Seller myths is our topic today. A lot to talk about on that front here, Scott. But we already did have a comment come in. Is the softening of the market what you guys expected? Did you expect that, Scott?
Yeah, I think we did. I mean, we didn't. Well, I should break it into sections. We did not expect the first 4 months of last year to be at 3%. As crazy as it is. And then in 90 days for it to go to 7.5. No, I mean, nobody expected that. But when that happened, did we know that there was definitely going to be a softening of the market? Sure. I mean, you can't double your interest rates, in that case, more than double your interest rates, and not have it affect affordability and not have it affect values. And even though the median sale price is still at around 380, it's compartmentalized as well, because the median sale price hasn't dropped, but most of that is in that under 500 range. You start getting five and above, and I would say that there has been a settling back into values. And I would also say there's been a settling back into values on upper bracket townhomes. I think that those have also come back. It's anything that's kind of on the perimeter of just being kind of the meat and potatoes thing.
Yeah, again, 612-294-6949 is how you can join us here at any point. We are moving again to 10 o'clock for the Minnesota Real Estate Show in a couple weeks. That will be starting up here soon. But prior to that, we're going to continue on with the 11 o'clock hour here as well. Today's topic is seller myths. Scott, what do you got? Something to kick off with seller myths?
Well, yeah, I was going to actually say, for all the agents out there that listen to the show, we know there's a lot of you, which we really appreciate, by the way. We get a lot of great feedback from you during the week as well. We're going to go over the myths that we're thinking about, but shoot us a text and let us know what one myth that you think is important or that would be on the top of your mind. I mean, the first one that comes to mind for me, obviously, the myth that most sellers have is, well, I can price my house here and then I can always reduce it.
Sure.
I mean, and in their mind, when they say that, what they're saying is, I can be aggressive on my number, but I will always be able to still either sell it for more because of that, which we know is not true, or I can always sell it for at least this number, which we also know is not true. That overpricing your home has the complete opposite effect. It is not a good idea to do it. But a lot of times so you have to have that conversation a lot of times with your sellers, because that's what sellers believe.
Yeah, and we're seeing a lot of that in our market, of course, with a lot of people, as Scott mentioned, kind of reaching for a price, overpricing things sitting a little bit longer, market time increasing. And as a result, buyers see it on the market 20, 30, 40, 50 days, and they say, what's wrong with the property? Why has nobody made an offer on it? And as a result, it creates that psychological effect that there's something wrong here. We probably need to really take a look at this and figure out what's going on, what's wrong.
Well, and that's the other interesting human dynamic of real estate is those same sellers that want to be aggressive on their number. If you're working with them on the buyer side and you do show a home that's been on the market for 3 weeks first thing that comes out of their mouth when you get out of the car is, what's wrong with this house?
What's wrong with the house?
So they understand it from that side, but because it's a personal thing on the selling side, I have a hard time connecting them both.
We're going back live on WCCO. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Hope your Labor Day weekend's going well. Hey, welcome back to the second segment of the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Hope your Labor Day weekend is going well with family and friends. You're able to take a little time off to relax. The news today about Jimmy Buffett passing, very sad news. Wonderful musician, inspirational. Everybody's got a Jimmy Buffett story. Just a legend, Scott, an absolute legend.
Yeah, he was incredibly talented, and I think music for all generations, music for everybody to enjoy. And sad to see Jimmy go. I've got a very good friend of mine, my ex-wife's ex-husband, actually, Larry, is a humongous fan, and I'm sure is a sad day for him.
Yeah, again, each week, we're going to have a topic. We also like to feature some of our listings, do kind of a nice feature of some of our different listings that we've got with the Minnesota real estate team. Karen Lunzer with Remax Advantage Plus has one, Scott, in the Mac Groveland area at 728 Palace. And it was recently reduced to $375, and it's great for family, or Karen says rental for colleges in the area. It's a 4-bed, 2-bath. It's got a garage and extra parking too. And then she also has one in Somerset, 813 Rose Court in Somerset for $340,000, a 2-bed, 2 full bath, 3-car garage home, and it was built in 2018. Lots of upgrades and updates to that one. And the last one is Becky Gonzalez. Becky Gonzalez has one down in Lakeville. Your neck of the woods, Scott. This one is 8619 197th Street West, and it's priced at $550,000. This is 4 beds, and they're all located upstairs. It's got neighborhood features, bonus room ranging with homes ranging from $500,000 to $900,000. Potential for additional bedrooms downstairs. It is in the Lakeville School District. No HOA fees. The neighborhood has walking paths and a community park, and just a great looking property. So check that one out. Becky Gonzalez, 8619 197th Street West. Really good stuff. And Scott, as we were talking a little bit, myths, and we talked about the pricing myth. You know what? I can just set that price higher, and I'll still get what I want on there.
Yeah. Seller myths is what we're talking about, and we hear them all the time. And probably, we were asked when we were off air, what's your top myth that we hear, and it definitely is that. One of the myths is that I can always come down on my listing price, so it's better for me to be aggressive, and I can always drop my price. And along with that, kind of the combo myth is that I can always do that, and I don't have to sell.
Right.
So that combination of, I'm not in a hurry to sell. Well, all the seller means when they say that is, because I'm not in a hurry to sell, I'll be able to wait and get more money.
Sure.
And of course, that would make sense. Unfortunately, that is completely a myth, completely incorrect. The statistics are the complete opposite. The longer you're on the market, the much less you get for your home. And so that's probably the biggest myth, and probably the hardest conversation, I would say, Ryan, to have with sellers when we meet with them.
Yeah, and it is hard too. And to your point, Scott, oftentimes those are the buyers. Like you said, when you have them out in the car, you immediately go look at another property. The home's been on the market for 30, 40, 50 days. And the first thing they say when they get out of the car is, hey, what's wrong with this property? That's kind of how we think about it. And so starting super high with the price, and then you're 40 days on the market, people are going to look at it and say, wait, there's 8,000 homes for sale in the Twin Cities. What's going on here? What's wrong with it?
That's right. It is the hardest thing for people to understand. Well, I ask this question all the time with my clients. I say, would you rather buy a house that's been on the market for $500,000 for 180 days and get it for $470,000, so $30,000 under list price? Or would you rather compete against 50 other agents and get a house for 25 grand over list price.
Hmm.
And the majority of the time they say, well, I'd rather get the deal on the one for 500. Well, it's not a deal because at $500,000, people don't want it. It's been on the market for 6 months. Nobody wants that house. So whether it's 450 or 470 or whatever, meanwhile, you've got a house over here that 50 people have written on it. Everybody wants it. So all the ducks are in a row, probably a walkout, probably a great lot, probably wooded, probably private, all the things. You'd much rather pay over for that than you would to get a deal on a house that nobody wants, because eventually you've got to sell that house.
Yeah, it is interesting. We're talking about seller myths today here on the Minnesota Real Estate Show. You're welcome to join our discussion here at any point. 612-294-6949. I've had some good comments coming in on social media. Fellow agents, brokers listening as well. Thank you for tuning in. Feel free to join the discussion here at any point with seller myths. We did have a text message question come in. And again, join us at any point with this. This question just said, I have a listing. The buyer said that we should check and see if there was hail damage from that storm a couple weeks ago. My sellers went ahead and checked, and there is damage. Now the seller is saying, why would he pay the deductible and put a new roof on for the same sales price to the buyer? Is he obligated under the Minnesota purchase agreement to repair it to the condition prior to the damage, or can he potentially cancel the contract? Good question.
Very good question.
Yeah, and obviously a lot of hail damage, things like that are happening, Scott. So there is that provision in the purchase agreement that the home must be in the same condition as the time of purchase agreement. So when that buyer does the final walkthrough. So I think in this case, there is a very strong argument that obviously the home is not in the same condition. But again, to the point of the question, why not adjust the price at all?
Well, that's another, since we're talking seller myths, that's another one that's right up there. So when you buy a house, you assume that it has windows that work. You assume that it has a roof that works and isn't leaking. You assume that the air conditioning works. These are assumptions that you have.
Sure.
So the furnace doesn't work. Well, I'm going to put in a brand new furnace. Okay, Mr. Buyer, you now have a brand new furnace. I wanted you to pay another $5,000. Well, no, Mr. Seller, I don't want to pay another $5,000 because when I bought the home, I assumed it had a furnace that works. I am not either. I am not either exaggerating.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where when you buy a house, you assume the roof is in good shape.
Sure.
And if it's not, you want one that's in good shape.
Yeah, and here's the reality of that too with that question is I think, is there an argument that the seller could try to cancel? Well, in any transaction, really a buyer and seller can try to do anything. So they could say, look, we are not going to do it. We're going to cancel. They can make life incredibly difficult on the buyer. So the reality of transactions is once a buyer or seller loses goodwill for any reason in the transaction, all parties are off. So just because the purchase agreement or the legal document says, yep, this is what you said you're going to do, well, unfortunately, not always everybody plays nicely in the sandbox together. And yes, you can hire a great attorney like Matt Engel with our show. You can get them, you could sue them to perform according to the contract, which takes time, monies, energy, and effort. So the reality of it, it is negotiable. But it's a really good question. That's a super good one. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, it is. And again, if it was me, I would go back to the seller. If they're considering, and that's where I'm lost in this. If the seller is considering canceling this contract because he's got to pay a deductible, and in his mind, he is like, okay, now I'm going to have a new roof. And so instead of getting $500,000, I'm going to get $510,000.
Yep.
He's not.
Sure.
And so I would save everybody and have the difficult conversation right now and say, let's think about what we're doing here. We're not going to cancel this contract.
Yeah.
Pay your deductible, sell it. You're going to, I just don't understand the hassle of going through it all.
Let's just say hypothetically he canceled that deal. Well, now what's going to happen is it's going to go back onto MLS. It's going to be for sale. And this is going to be a known fact that at least from the agent's perspective, the listing broker will have to disclose that. And now new buyers that come through are going to say, hey, look, We just noticed you guys got hail damage. We were going to give you 500, but because of that, we're going to give you 490.
That's right. Yeah, it makes, in my experience, very, 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 very few times does it ever make sense to cancel a transaction for the sense or theory that you think you're going to get more money. It just normally doesn't work that way.
Yeah, again, before the break, did want to hit on Michelle Erickson has one down in Lakeville, Scott. This is 16283 Ipava Avenue, and it's a prime location in Lakeville near County Road 46, and it's a commercial space. It must be medical, chiropractic, health, or wellness, and it's a lease deal at $7,800 per month. It's got lots of natural light, almost 3,500 square feet as well. So that's a commercial deal, a lease deal. We as a team do quite a few of those. And then one last one before the break. Scott, this one's in Minneapolis, 3215 Pillsbury Avenue, number 215, 139.5.
Wow.
Don't have many in that price point. And Adam Benedict has this listed. It is a condo, top floor, corner unit, 1 bed, 1 bath. And just a great location near the shops, bus lines, trails, and lakes. And rentals are allowed on this one. So a very nice one.
Very nice. Well, again, myths are what we're talking about today. When we get back, we're going to talk about the myths, so you can think about it during the break. Do open houses sell my home?
Myths. We're talking about myths here at the Minnesota Real Estate Show. This is WCCO. Thanks for joining us, and of course Ryan spills the coffee right halfway through the. Thanks for the save there, but we appreciate it. Appreciate folks joining us on social media today. We're talking all about myths. What do you think? Open house. Well, let's hold off on that one. We'll hold off on that one. But myths. It is a lot of good things to talk about. Pricing is hard. Sometimes that's just the hardest thing for people to understand because everybody wants to get the most money. So I'm going to throw that price as high as I can. That's how I'm going to get the most money for my house.
Yeah. Well, and again, this other side of that, which we were talking about, which is so true. You hear it all the time is, well, I'm not in a hurry to sell.
Oh, sure.
And again, just think about when you hear that, what is the person saying? All they're saying is, and if I'm willing to wait, I'll get my number. And that is the biggest myth of them all, because it is completely the opposite. But yeah, we've got some good ones coming up, so that we'll talk about the open house myth.
Yeah.
For sale by owner.
Yeah, for sale by owner.
Do you save money by selling for sale by owner?
Yeah, one of the myths I'll just hit on briefly is that agents are always interchangeable. In other words, it's like anything. I need a real estate agent to do this, and I've got a real estate agent, so everything's great. Much like any type of service industry at all, there are very good ones, and there are some that are not quite as good. So it's important, of course, to know who you're working with, do some research, check the reviews, and what's their track record? How are they known in the industry? How do they work well with other agents? All really important things to look at, Scott.
Well, yeah, and the problem is, you go to a furniture store and you deal with a crappy salesman buying a couch.
Yeah,
you just got bad service buying a couch.
Sure.
When you're dealing with an agent that does not know what they're doing, or worse than that, thinks they know what they're doing and actually does not, you can get in the weeds deep. And it's not just $500 here and there. I mean, it can get ugly. So I mean, it is important. It is really important to deal with someone that knows what they're doing, is going to handle it so that you can just have an easy transaction and be done. I mean, it's one of those things with any good service. It's like Ryan always uses the analogy of the duck on the water. On top it's super calm.
Sure.
And underneath they're just paddling. That's a lot of real estate transactions.
Right.
And you as the client just need to be the calm part on top. You don't need to know about everything that's churning underneath.
It's a good analogy. It's a good point. What are you doing underneath? What is the agent doing to move this better? Another myth we'll hit on while we're on a roll here is that buyers do get a better deal if they don't use an agent. I'm going to get a better deal if I don't use an agent at all. That's what I prefer to do, Scott.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest myths. Well, first of all, let's just talk about how commission works. So when I list a property, and let's say I listed at 10%, and that 10% does not come to me. That 10% goes to me and the cooperating broker. So if Ryan works for Edina Realty and he sells it, he's a cooperating broker, he's going to get roughly half of that commission. In the cases where you come in without an agent, you're not saving anything
Sure.
because that commission is the selling side commission. It's only split with a cooperating broker, so it has nothing to do with saving you any money as a buyer.
Yeah, again, we're getting some phone calls in studio here. Apologize if it's a little bit louder here. Sorry about that. And
All right. Thank you.
we're getting ready to go back live on air here. Again, News Talk 830 WCCO is how you can join us. Hope your weekend is going well here so far. A lot of phone calls ringing here right now. And are we getting ready to go live on air here pretty soon? Here we go. We're getting ready to go live. 612-294-6949. Hey, welcome back to the second half of the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We hope your weekend is going well. And thank you for joining us. We're talking all about myths today, specifically seller myths. Again, we got a number of phone calls coming in, so thank you for being patient with us here. If you're not immediately able to get through, 612-294-6949 is how you can join us here at any point. And before we touch on that, I did want to hit on again, Scott. It's listing time.
It is listing time.
Yeah, we do like to talk a little bit. Miss Jennifer Ritzman, she's got a nice one, Scott. It's in Bloomington, 10710 Nesbitt. Price is at $424,999. It's a 4-bed, 3-bath, 1-car garage home. It's got over 2,500 finished square feet, and it's got a walkout lower level, full kitchenette, large flat, almost a half-acre lot. Beautiful property. Be sure to check that out. It's got a newer roof and windows as well here, Scott. And then one other one, Brittany Yaris has got one up in East Bethel, 22343 Sandy Drive. This is listed for $599,999, and this is a newly remodeled farmhouse. It's got almost 6 acres, 3-bed, 3-bath, oversized 2-car garage, original hardwood floors throughout, French doors, laundry hookups throughout, new roof siding. Some really nice property, Scott.
Yeah, there is. And before we get back into myths here, I'm going to talk about a listing that I just put on the market. It's been on the market for actually just a day. It is 1300 Deerwood Avenue. Deerwood Drive, in Eagan. It is a 4-bedroom, 5-bathroom rambler. And there's too much even to go in on this property. It's listed at 2.1 million. It's on just over 10 acres in Eagan, which is very hard. Just about a minute from the Vikings practice stadium.
Oh.
So really perfect location for, an athlete or anybody that works for the Vikings to be close. It is commercial construction that you would find more in Arizona. So just a big 3,500 square feet on the main level, about 6,000 square feet total. Rambler, 2.1 million, 1300 Deerwood Drive.
Yeah, we're talking about myths today, all about myths. And Scott, specifically for seller myths, we talked about agents being interchangeable or not interchangeable. In other words, talking about outstanding agents versus maybe some that aren't quite as outstanding. From a myth standpoint, another myth is that if I see a home online, it's always available for sale, Scott. In other words, if I see a home online, it's always available, dude.
Yeah, big myth. So there's all kinds of real estate websites right now. Obviously, we know all the big ones. They all connect to MLS, which is what we drive the train, basically. So they all connect to our MLS system. And so when we make a change on our MLS system, it kind of flows out to all the websites. Unfortunately, they're not as up to date. And so I will get calls on listings I had a year ago from some of the bigger sites. Oh, I want to see this listing. And I'm like, it's sold over a year ago and it's still showing as active. So the only way to know that you are really looking at active properties versus pending or sold subject to inspection is when you're working with your agent. They're going to set you up on a search through the actual MLS system. That is the only system that is foolproof and that you're actually going to be able to know what you're looking at is what you're looking at.
Yeah, 612-294-6949 is how you can join us here at the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Appreciate your comments, questions, and texts coming in. Today, we're talking all about different types of myths. Scott?
And the one we had right before break is one of the biggest myths out there. Do open houses sell my home?
Oh, thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, do open houses sell my home? What are your thoughts on that, Ryan?
Open houses are a very good way to have potentially neighbors come through, people out and about, buyers looking for different properties. It's a way for realtors to meet potential customers, but oftentimes, just from a straight effectiveness standpoint, open houses are not always super effective in selling, simply because those buyers already that are looking for your home are most likely already working with an agent. They've got a saved search set up. They set up a private showing, usually during the week, sometime, during the week, evenings. But it is, what is it, 1% or less than 1% sell this way?
Yeah, I was going to say, so we have Ryan's answer and then we have my answer. No, they do not.
Yes.
They do not help you sell your house. There's one reason that open houses are done, and one reason only, and that is for agents that are doing the open houses to be able to pick up clients to work. Hopefully they like the house that they're sitting in. If they don't, they're there to be able to meet people, to be able to sell them a house. It's less than 1% is the national average of homes that sell through open houses. And those are actually pre-internet number. I would say that it's even less than 1%.
Yeah.
Now, because I'll hear people say, "Oh no, I sold mine through an open house," and I'll say, "Well, how did they get there?" "Well, they saw it on Zillow." I'm like, "Well, they didn't the open house did not sell your home."
Yeah.
Zillow or wherever they saw it online, and the only opportunity they had was either they're going to call their agent to set up a showing, or it happened to have an open house, so they're going to go through it. But the open house did not sell the list.
Yeah, one of the myths that is it is an interesting one, that if you've bought or sold a home before, then the second time around you'll be a pro at it. In other words, hey, I did this once before, so I got it totally dialed in, ready to go. The reality of it is every real estate transaction is a little bit different.
Yeah.
Even in this market here in 2023, things you just never know for sure if things don't always go as they plan. In other words, there could be questions on financing. There could be questions on home inspections. There could be issues with the lender. There could be a variety title issues.
Oh my God.
There could be all kinds of different things. So having a really good agent broker to help you through that process is critical.
Well, and I've been doing this for 25 years. I did not think that there was anything, frankly, to not be whatever. I didn't think there was anything I didn't know, frankly, when it had to do from a real estate transaction. And I just had a transaction where there was something, and it could have been catastrophic ish to my buyer. Luckily, I've been doing this long enough where I had enough outside outs there, but there was a situation with a big piece of land that we bought that I didn't even know existed. That was a major hurdle. Now, again, I had other outs where we would be able to cancel out of the contract. But I was thinking when that happened, I was thinking, if this would have been with an agent that maybe hadn't been around the block as long as I have, this could be a big problem, because it was a big moving piece. And there are agents out there that'll just write it up. They don't know what they're doing, but they'll write it up.
Yeah. Again, talking all things myths today. Seller myths. 612-294-6949 is how you can join us anytime now during the show or during the week as well. Did have another text message question come into us. Guys, this is a fellow agent just saying, I am seeing a lot more home inspections, home inspection contingencies, longer time frames as well with some of those home inspections. That's a function of the market that we're seeing right now with, again, 8,000 homes. But again, instead of 15 offers on it, maybe there's 1 or 2. And now we're seeing some inspections, Scott.
Yeah. I mean, first 4 months of last year, I think it was less than 3% of all transactions had home inspections on them. And now we're back to, we've been saying it for the last 3 months. This is just kind of shifting back to a normal-ish market, whatever normal means. But, a little bit longer time on market. House has to show exceptionally well. It has to be priced and marketed exceptionally well. You're not going to go out and flip some pictures on your iPhone and throw it on for 10 grand over and get 20 grand over. That's not the market we're in anymore.
Yeah, it is. We're at the quarter point of the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We appreciate you joining us here on News Talk 830 WCCO. Hope your Labor Day weekend is starting off well for you. We're already into September. This is WCCO. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining us here. Scott, you got any big Labor Day plans?
Yeah, actually, my oldest daughter Jordan and my youngest son Aiden are in town from Arizona, and so we're all going to get together tomorrow. Jordan's got some friend of hers that's getting married, so they're doing that today, and Aiden's is screwing around up in Eau Claire, but they're coming back tomorrow, so we're going to do that. And later today, I'm going to Charlie's on Prior Lake.
Nice.
So if anybody's out there, I'm going to go out there around 5:00.
Yeah. Hey, I had a question about. It says you mentioned guys about overpricing. What about underpricing? Will that potentially bring in more buyers and also potentially drive the buyers up? I think a lot, especially again depending upon price point. Let's just say maybe in the Twin Cities, 400,000 and under. You really can't underprice a property at all. In other words, because there's still strong buyer demand at that price point, even with the rise in interest rates, you can price it and buyers are going to offer and bring that to where that value is. As you get more expensive, Scott, what do you think about more expensive?
Yeah, you're going down the exact road that I have. My initial response is you cannot underprice a house. And I was going exactly with what was Ryan saying. So if it's 375, you're actually better off listing it at 350 and you might get 385.
Okay.
Because that's a pretty big, price search criteria, 300, 350, 400. So yeah, you are better off. Can't underprice it, but you definitely can't overprice it. And, you can go back to the bank-owned days.
Yeah.
They were 2-3% below what the home was worth.
Yeah.
And then they would get 5 to 10% over what it was worth.
Right.
I mean, you get people competitive at nature. That's definitely what you want to do.
Yeah, we appreciate the question too. A lot of good questions, a lot of good comments coming in. 612-294-6949. More inspection, Scott. Again, the other thing too, there was a question about the condo docs. With condo documents, it is a 10-day period to review condo docs. So if you're a buyer of a townhome or condo, you've got 10 days to review those documents. You can back out for any reason at all during that 10-day period. That's another contingency for sellers. Sometimes sellers forget that. They think, hey, our house is sold. And then 8 days into it, the buyer bails.
Well, and this is speaking of things that I've learned over the last few years. When does the 10 days start?
10 days start once it's delivered to the buyer's agent.
Not when the purchase agreement is done.
Right.
So with the way that it's done now, since we do everything online, so I load my 10-day right of rescission docs online. So I have somebody that is going to write an offer. Hey, Joe, are you interested? Yeah, we're going to write an offer. Super, Joe, I'm going to send you over the Townhome Association docs.
Right.
So this is on a Friday. I send it to him. He doesn't write his offer until Wednesday. We don't accept it until Thursday. When did his 10 days start?
Right.
It started when I sent him the docs prior to him actually getting the purchase agreement accepted.
And it's actually, again, it's delivered by email.
That's
so
right.
In other words, when the listing broker sends those documents to the email, Scott, you're the buyer's agent, here are the condo documents on this property. That's what slowly gets things sticking. And sometimes it's, again, that can be a hard lesson.
It was a hard lesson for me. That's
Right.
how I learned it. I was like,
Right.
there's no way in the world that time can start before we even have a contract in place.
Right.
Well, it can. In
Yeah.
this particular case, that's how it works.
Yeah, it is. It is very, very interesting. Hey, we're getting ready to go back live on News Talk 830 WCC. I hope your weekend's going well. Labor Day. Hard to believe we are at Labor Day already. It's been a quick summer. It's going to be a hot weekend. But here we go. We're going live back on air. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Hey, welcome back, everybody. The final segment of the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Hope your Labor Day weekend is going well. We appreciate you tuning in to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We are a local show, and we're talking all about myths today. Real estate myths for sellers. Scott, there's been a lot of them we've talked about today. Of course, every week there's texts coming in, phone calls coming in, so we're trying to get to what we can, right?
That's right. Yeah, we talked about the myth on do open houses sell your home, and they do not. They are for agents to pick up clients. They have nothing to do with actually marketing your property and selling it. One of the biggest myths out there has been there forever. I mean, I've been doing this since 1998. It was huge then. It's going to be huge now. It always is for sale by owners.
Yeah, for sale by owners.
I'm going to sell my house for sale by owner. And I would argue that 99% of people that do that do not want to become semi-real estate agents. They don't believe that it's easier for them or that the process will be easier. They do it for one reason. And that one reason is they believe they are going to save money by selling their house for sale by owner. The national average is, first of all, about 1% of homes from sale by owners actually even sell, even in this kind of market. Secondly, it depends on which grading scale you agree with, but it's between 16 to 24% below value when you sell your home for sale by owner. And people would say, well, how in the world could that be?
Overpricing. First of all,
typically either sellers for sale by owner, because there's a certain kind of mentality that does it. They believe their home is worth this and nobody else is going to understand it. And that's why I need to sell it for sale by owner.
Sure.
And I'm going to be able to point out all the features to these buyers and they're going to understand it.
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest myths out there. It is drastically below value. And I'm not talking about below market value. I'm talking about below what you would net out if you went at a full listing commission.
Sure.
You're still going to net way less doing it for sale by owner.
Hey, just want to touch on, again, Jennifer Tischlitter with the Minnesota real estate team's got a great one in Rogers for our friends up in Rogers, 635,000, 13407 Big Sandy Lake Drive, Scott. This is a 2-story, 4-bed, 4-bath. It's got a beautifully finished walkout lower level. It's got a pond in the backyard, walking trails, views of Crowley Lake. Very nice listing indeed. And one other one, Jen and Heidi Huseth, Scott, have this one in St. Paul, 2311 Commonwealth Avenue for $540,000. This is in the St. Anthony Park neighborhood. It's got walking distance to the shops, restaurants, schools, parks. It's a charming 2-story. It's got 4 bedrooms, updated kitchen, beautiful hardwood floors, and ton of mature perennials throughout. It's a nice one. St. Paul has got a lot of that good vibe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. It's in that area. St. Anthony's a cool area. So good for them. Those sound like a couple good ones.
Yeah. Again, talking about all things myths today, specifically seller myths. We talked a little bit about, again, this was a text that came in. This was more buyer related, that buyers get a better deal if they don't use an agent. So if I come at it and I'm coming at you saying, look, hey, I'm going to get a better deal. Does that happen, Scott, if they don't have an agent?
No, it doesn't. So the way listing commissions work is I list your house for 6%. That listing commission is for RE/MAX Advantage Plus. And so if Ryan with Edina Realty brings a buyer in, I agree to pay him 2.7% normally of that 6% commission. So basically splitting it. If a buyer comes in that does not have an agent, that commission is still RE/MAX Advantage Plus. So there is no advantage to.
Sure.
And besides that, a lot of times buyers think that they're paying their agent to represent them. Buyers don't pay commissions to buyers representatives normally. It is normally the listing commission that is being split to pay the fee for the buyer's agent.
Yeah, again, 612-294-6949 is how you can join us at the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We're already into Labor Day. If you're out at the state fair, we hope you're having fun at the fair, enjoying your time out there. Scott, you heading back out to the fair today, bud?
I am not, and I don't think I'm going to make it this year. It is going to be 90-something degrees over the weekend here, and that is not when I go to the fair.
Yeah, for those of you driving up north to the lakes, safe travels. Enjoy this last weekend. School's starting early next week. One myth that I'll share is that people think, hey, after Labor Day, nothing happens in the real estate market in Minnesota, or even in winter, nothing happens. Well, from the 20 plus years we both have been doing this, we know that's not the case. Things keep moving. Things keep happening. People move, as you can imagine, for a variety of reasons.
Hey, people get divorced in the winter as much as they do in the summer. So there's always real estate
It
transactions.
is though. It is a thought, especially in Minnesota. Well, oh my gosh, I gotta list my home in May, or I gotta list in June. With a market of only 8,000 homes for sale in the Twin Cities, look, if you're going to go on the market and you're priced correctly with a top agent or broker, you're going to get eyes on that. You're going to have demand on it, even with interest rates in the sevens, Scott. But it's all year round. So, in my opinion, when people say, well, when should we do this? The best time is when it works for you and your family.
That's right.
If you're looking at selling now, do it. If you're looking at waiting 6 months, do it. There's no magic time.
There's not. And, and since we're talking about good times and bad times, if you are a buyer that has been, kind of going through this summer, maybe you're an FHA buyer, maybe you're a VA buyer, maybe you're a 3% down conventional buyer. So something that is not strategically as strong, and you have not been able to get a house. Well, you're walking into the best 3 months, October, November, and December. If you are a buyer with nothing to sell, those are the best 3 months for you to buy. So if you're not approved, get with Mike Overson, apply with Mike.com, and then, pin your ears back, because the next 3 months are going to be good.
Great job, buddy.
You too.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. This has been the Minnesota Real Estate Show every Saturday. We're going to be here from 11 to noon. In a couple weeks, we're going to be at 10 o'clock. Right after Lindus Construction. We're excited to be on CCO. And if you have topics or ideas or things you'd like us to discuss, please don't hesitate to let us know. Hope everybody has a great Labor Day weekend, safe and enjoyable with family and friends. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye. Thanks for everybody on social media joining us. It was fun. The show goes by so quick.
It does.
Before we know, we're here and we're gone. Thank you, everybody. We will be talking about more topics next week, but safe travels. Have a great Labor Day weekend, and thanks again, so many of you joining us on social media for the whole show. We appreciate it.
Thanks.